From before, some Winx save Princess Diaspro, Sky's former fiancée, who was kidnapped by misled ninjas. For some reason, the ninjas thought they were good, despite kidnapping, and they were stupid, despite being good fighters. The only aspect of the story that I liked was Flora being a sweetheart, like always, and her and Chatter consoling Diaspora. Meanwhile, Musa plans a concert, but Stormy attacks her, but Musa does a storm dance to undo the storm. Then, when Stormy attacks her, Musa essentially reveals Stormy to everyone, and, being outnumbered, she leaves. Ranking. The ninja story was, at best, disappointing, since competent characters being misled would have been an amazing story if done well. Musa Stormy was decent. From before, Musa is planning her concert and Stormy tries to mess her up, pretty much like the last episode. Musa is at her mother's grave and hopes that her debut performance will be as amazing as her mom's. Musa's dad was invited by Farragonda since Musa was doing great at Althea, but he's against Musa doing music. Musa's mom and dad fell in love because of music, but it was very financially unstable and they were poor. This parental background is all seen through flashback scenes and narrated by Musa. It seems like a perfect story. But her mom got sick and died, since they couldn't afford treatment, and Musa's dad pretty much banned music. He doesn't want his wife's fate to happen to his daughter. As you can tell, it's a very sentimental episode. The concert begins well, but Stella seems prone to disaster. Since it's a musical episode, song sequences make sense. For Musa's solo, things are going so well that even Riven can't help but smile. I admit, I was pleasantly surprised. All this time, based off wanting revenge from the last episode, Stormy disguises herself and attacks Musa's dad. As with Font of Dragonfire from Season 1 with Bloom's parents, attacking defenseless family is pure evil. Musa can't even fight Stormy since her sonic powers would harm all the concert attendants, but she has a plan. Musa gets everyone to sing and they defeat Stormy. The teamwork is fun and some great Riven moments too. The end. Overall, being critical and objective, this episode's very cliché, but we did learn lots about Musa's history. We got to see the girls help each other out throughout the episode, and the music and dance works great here. It's the kind of episode where you can just sit back and enjoy and smile at all the various character moments. For the ending, being cynical, I can agree with Stormy's comments, but that would be forgetting the genre and tone of this episode. Ranking. I don't expect to see another sentimental, character-focused episode quite like this one, but I did love the musical sequences. From before, the Winx visit Bloom's Earth antagonist, Mitzi, for a Halloween costume party at a haunted house. The main story is about sisters who haunt, but the joy of the episode was the very many costumes. Unfortunately, but like other episodes, the plot twists are mostly spoiled by facial expressions and a non-limited perspective. I won't spoil it, but I will say I loved the dance ending, and I liked how the Pixies played a part throughout the episode. Characters. Despite the established antagonism, I loved how Bloom and her friends were still nice, fun-loving girls. Expectations. Considering that Bloom's a girl who discovered that she was a fairy, isn't it possible that there's truth to these myths? Ranking. Last episode was sentimental. This episode was simply fun. The more movies you know, the more you enjoy. From before, skipping over the last two sentimental and fun episodes, we're back with the season-long conflict. The teachers send the Winx to Cloud Tower since they suspect that the Trix will target it next for the next Codex piece. In addition to classes, the girls will learn that Cloud Tower isn't a building, but a living being created by ancient witches. Anyways, the Winx and the witches can't really cooperate until Murta and Bloom encourage them. The Trix have found nothing yet, and so they decide to bully Lucy into spying for them. She's caught, but they understand. The tactics of the Trix now is ambushing their victims and threatening them to give them what they want. In the end, The Tricks arrive at Kodak's room, and they're about to get the next piece, but cliffhanger ending. Characters. I love Stella in her cute witch outfits. My favorite was the purple one with the pigtails. I love the continuity of Musa's flashback, Myrtle and Lucy, and the continuity of the Tricksters with their blinding and bullying. With Myrtle and Lucy, I love the pictures of them when they were kids. Overall, anything Myrtle was lovely. From stopping the argument, reconciling with Lucy, to helping Winx in class, and to staying with Lucy. The Tricksters' ambush antics were really effective in creating suspense. Also neat how you can get statues to fight. But I think the most interesting thing was watching Fairy and Witch nearly fight each other while also fighting the Tricks. Darcy does a sickening and devastating optical blindness curse on Bloom, leaving her helpless. It's disgusting and so sad. Ranking. Although it's not really a finale episode, it feels like it since both Fairy and Witch unite to fight the Tricks. From before, the Tricks actually found a spa. Tekna had made a mistake, which seems to be happening a lot this season. Outnumbered, the Tricks leave. Everyone else, prompted by the most beautiful fairy Flora, care for blinded Bloom. The girls got coins that could detect the Tricks, and they learned to talk through walls, and the girls split up. Unfortunately, this is exactly what the Tricks wanted, as now they can deal with our good girls in pairs. Not only do the Tricks ambush, but they also manipulate Cloud Tower to trap girls. Like a nightmare, nothing is certain. I love the idea of navigating a maze that keeps changing and working against you. But how do you fight that? Griffin briefly traps the Tricks, but they escape, and Icy realizes that the Codex is in the roof, out of harm's way. The Winx try to stop them with convergence, but they fail, since, if the Tricks couldn't get the Codex, then the story would end. Characters. One of my favorite things to see is characters thinking things through via discussion and communication. Cute moments include tucking in Musa, anything Murta, the pose for fighting Tricks, and the brave guardian Pixie. I totally predicted that I'd see an impersonation from Darcy. By the way, I suppose her name is from Dark Oitzy. Here's a random pic of Stella with an expectation. Will misinformation ever be given on purpose to mislead the Tricks? Ranking. I love the atmosphere, but story-wise, for this overall Codex story to continue, I knew the Tricks would win, and continue to do so. From before, Bloom is having Avalon help her train, and he also helps her learn about her past via a spell. We see her birth parents, and the dragon, with his creepy smoke. Later, Bloom tries the spell again. She has turned into a dark version of herself, and I have no idea if it's the Tricks who messed with her, or if it's Avalon. She messes with Timmy, but Avalon alleviates her from the corrupting virus. The Winx help her out with a makeover. It was fun until Bloom transforms again and wants to find Althea's Codex to give to Darkar. She goes to the library. I hated the burning of the books, and I felt so sorry for the Pixie and her pets, especially the seahorse. Not his fault, he lost. And now it's the Winx's turn to get beaten. The only thing that seemed to work was a kiss from Locket, but it was not enough. Darkar gets the Codex. In good news, Avalon comes to remove the virus, and in better news, all know it wasn't really Bloom. Characters. With Dark Bloom, we have a dilemma since you want to defeat her, but you don't want to hurt her. The magical attempts were useless as expected, but what affected me was the dialogue, Flora and Locket especially. Though hard to watch due to being vastly overpowered, the seahorse scene was well made. He's my favorite pixie pet. Despite their helpfulness, I'm still open to Avalon being evil. At best, he's just really creepy with all this touching. Ranking. Really interesting to see Dark Bloom and how difficult it was to deal with her, and lots of scenes got to me. From before, upset Winx aren't helpful, and so Farragonda sends them off to a ski vacation with their boyfriends. There's lots of relationship issues. Hilariously, I related most with Riven. Aren't ski hats supposed to be warm? Bloom leads the team when their gondola lift is in trouble, and by trusting her boyfriend, she earns a Charmix. Expectations. Charmix seems to be the very version of the witch's Gloomix, and I suspect each Winx will earn hers. Meanwhile, we have a premature spoiler of Shifty Eyes. Therefore, undoubtedly, Avalon is bad and working for Darkar. Also, Icy gets the last piece of the Codex after threatening and chasing pixies, and finding the Downland people. Ranking. Sorry, but I didn't feel much for this episode, but I am looking forward to the others earning their Charmixes. From before, the Winx and the boys are on vacation, and now they're at the beach. Most of them are enjoying it. However, as usual, Stella is like me, and she doesn't go camping or making fires, and is very much a city person. The girls make postcards for their parents, and Layla innocently offends Stella when asking about her postcards. Layla feels left out because of this, but Stella relates to her by saying that she feels left out too at times, and she earns her Charmix. And this couldn't have come any later, since the Tricks have sent animals on the attack, which Riven and Musa find out. Musa earns her Charmix by leaving Riven alone with Darcy, which I suppose is meaningful since they were once together. In the end, everyone has to deal with Darcy's monsters and animals who have cornered them near a cliff. Characters. On these vacations, there is no magic, and so it's fun to see the Winx doing everyday non-magical things. Even the Tricks have a campfire, but they're not in bikinis. Anyway, Darcy again controlling animals. The Tricks need Bloom's goodness to balance out evil spells for the Codex to work, a sort of yin and yang. Regarding Charmix, compared to Bloom saving the Winx's lives, Stella's empathy and Musa's trust seem minor. There's a kiss between Stella and Brandon, which is really nice, and it was when he fought off the animals. And, though this slide is just to showcase Flora's hair, it's kind of nice to think that she's adopting Chada's style. Ranking. I liked how the Winx and even the Tricks did things people could do. It's also nice that the two girls got their Charmixes. From before, everyone's cornered, but Timmy strategizes for them to carefully run through the traps of the Tricks. The monsters get trapped, and the rest of the episode is Timmy's plan to mess up the Tricks who have dinosaurs. Lots of fun moments. Icy petting one, wet Tricks, chasing them running away, and Darcy saying she hates Riven. In the end, Timmy's plan works, and so the Tricks leave, but he needs help, and I love how Brandon prioritized Timmy. Also, Tekna, who's disliked Timmy ever since he let the Tricks go since Red Fountain, reconciles and earns her Charmix. All this time, Layla, whom the Winx claim is excluded and left behind. She overcomes isolation and earns her Charmix. I have to say that the treatment of Layla in-universe and also as a character isn't good, so I hope it gets better. Anyways, cute moments. Stella posing, Riven's reaction, Flora and Helia, and Brandon playing with the wolves. Ranking. Though I enjoyed moments here and there, and I liked Timmy, I wasn't too much involved in the overall story. From before, the pixies are sick, and the Tree of Life, which could help them, is sick too. Flora is to the rescue. Livy, the messenger pixie, says that she'll be punished for inadvertently leading Icy to the location of the Codex. It's obviously not her fault, logically, but guilt, being an emotion, doesn't always adhere to logic. Livy confesses, but Flora dismisses any talk about punishment, knowing that Livy did her best. I love it. Since I think of the pixies and their pets as kids, I love compassion for them. I only wish the seahorse had a similar scene. Anyways, to continue with the story, Flora has to heal the Tree of Life, and, supported by her boyfriend, she does. Now the pixies can be cured. Later, Flora, encouraged by Chatter, tells Helia she loves him and earns her Charmix. Spoilers coming up, but it's predictable since, from Pixie Village episode, we could guess Avalon is evil. The real Avalon escapes Darkar, and Farragonda recaps events that hinted that the one at Althea was evil. I was wondering if there'd be confusion to who is who, but the evil one captures Bloom and escapes. Characters. Originally, I thought that Chatter would be Stella's pixie, but I realized how helpful Chatter is to Flora. At Althea, during a class exercise, we get to see Bloom's and Techna's transformations. Here's Bloom's. And here's Techna's. Since now all the girls have the charm mixes, the girls will probably use them in the finale. I'll end this with some cute moments, Stella and Bloom being admonished, and the way the girls helped real Avalon. Ranking. I obviously loved Livy and Flora. About Avalon, I liked the build-up of hints, but there was no tension since the twist reveal was shown episodes ago. From before, Bloom has been kidnapped by Avalon and brought to Darkar, and he makes her Dark Bloom. Expectations. With Dark Bloom probably being Darkar's favorite, I wonder what the Tricks will think. The Winx and the Specialist fight off the Tricks to get to Darkar's caves, and there, they get help from the Downlanders. Characters. We get to see Flora's transformation with her Charmix for the first time. She gets a purse. We get a kiss between Techna and Timmy, and it's wonderful to see them like each other after their issues. Why did Farragonda say, the Lord of Templars should never be asked to interfere in the battles between darkness and light? And a fun slide of Layla drinking tea, since, unlike the guys, she didn't have to fight to prove her worth. Ranking. Despite the important plot points, I truly found this episode forgettable, and I could barely remember it. From before, Dark Bloom is Darkar's favorite, and the Tricks are jealous or angry they're unappreciated. Tricks give monsters their energy, and they're so cute when they're tired. Unfortunately, they're replaced and betrayed. My expectation, based on how there's still one episode left, is that they'll help the good characters win, as revenge. Those monsters attack the Winx, but they fight them off with magical convergence. Great work, girls. Before the Winx face Darkar himself, they have a tender moment with their boyfriends, except Sky and Layla. Inside, a monster is about to kill the Winx, but their teachers save them, and now Guardian Pixies accompany them. All this time, Amentia leads a fight against monsters. It's not usually my thing, but I'm loving this warrior princess. Characters. Since romantic jealousy has been prominent season-wide, I saw that in the Bloom-Darkar Tricks triangle. It's eyebrow-raising since it's adult men and high school girls, but there was also that storyline of Sky, Bloom, Avalon. Ranking. It's a lot of action, but because of how the Tricks were used and the Winx's convergence, the fights mean more to me than last season. From before, it's the final battle. Obviously lots of spoilers, so don't watch this review unless you've seen the episode. There's a lot of smart decision-making in fighting monsters, and making a copy of the Codex, and solving problems. There are surprises, like Stella's and Riven's. Why can't Riven be this good of a guy all the time? But the most surprising was the Tricks. I expected their return, but I was wowed by the evil convergence. I wonder if it's actually them, or if it's a creature made from their convergence, like the Winx's one from the 12th episode. As Darkar and Bloom seem to win, Sky breaks the spell with what is essentially the power of love. It's sentimental, but since relationship issues have been a common theme throughout the season, this scene isn't out of place. Perhaps, being cynical, I thought it would fail and they'd have to hurt Bloom, but this ending is good too. Relating back to the 10th episode where Bloom healed Sky, here Bloom heals herself, and I loved this twist. Darkar's defeated, but the Tricks will probably return. We end, like last season, with a party with a lot of cameos. Thoughts? Comparing the seasons, they begin with an aspect which is continually tested and end with a triumph. The first season was Bloom's powers and ended with a dragon. The second season was love and relationships. Ranking. A good ending to a good finale arc that was more intricate story-wise than the first finale. Also, more than mere action, it had thematic elements, like love, teamwork, and healing. And that's my review for Season 2. What I'll do now is take the top, middle, and bottom and rank Season 3. Winx Club is directed, created, and produced by Engineer Straffi and his company Rainbow SRL in co-production with Rye Fiction. The purpose of this review is non-profit criticism to add expressive meaning and message to the original, some edited screenshots for reference, and no harm intended to the copyright owner.